Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quacking After Dark here. It is, in fact, 10:30 EST, so those of you who are in the West Coast or in Colorado or something, it might not be as dark, but over here it is nighttime. And at nighttime, we got Smite time. So tonight we have a matchup, as you can clearly see it at the moment, Pittsburgh Phantoms versus Archon Dragons. And while there are some things about this match that are interesting, the most interesting part of it, arguably, is this mid matchup. We got Stages versus Olea, which in most people's tier lists have been consistently placed within the top first, second, and sometimes the third. So that is a monumental matchup to watch, and it is going to be insane, I am sure. The outcome is going to be quite a fun set. Wouldn't you agree, Red?
Absolutely. I'm kind of looking forward to this one. This is actually Archon Dragon's first matchup of the QSL
That
season.
is true.
Last week, there were some issues going on, some problems with communication and team, and they quite couldn't get the game scheduled. I know the captain Kaneki had some real life stuff that he was going through, and wasn't able to be there. So they said, you know what, we're going to use one of our two reschedules, and we're going to reschedule the game for later on in the season, which is fine. It's completely in the rules. And hopefully we'll be able to have a good game later on between those two teams. But talking about tonight here, yeah, I've really got to give it to this mid matchup between Stages and Ohea. Easily top two, top three talent right now in the mid lane, which is a very stacked mid lane. We have a lot of really good mid laners in the QSL. And then it doesn't stop there either. Tantalus against I'm a Gamer, Duck against Specify. You look around and you go, there is not a bad matchup between these two teams. There really isn't. Um, I really like both the Phantoms and the Dragons right now, and if they put their best foot forward, I think this could be a really good matchup. I think every team is fairly close to each other talent wise, and I think it could be one thing or another, maybe more of a communication thing that pushes one team into a victory this evening. On my tier list, I had the Phantoms ahead of the Dragons by a few spots. We'll see what happens. That could completely reverse itself after the game tonight. So, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when it comes to the matchups, both teams are using subs in some aspect. The Phantoms are opting to use their in team sub in Mark X Wings. He will be in the jungle tonight, and Kexen will be moved to the solo lane. I'm sure you're already aware that this team has had a roster change, a significant one, earlier today. Solo laners have been switched out, so we're opting to make sure that we don't ruffle anybody's feathers and make sure that we use our legal sub, and the other team has opted to use SM Specify and FA sub as well. So, slightly different plans here, slightly different teams, not necessarily both teams at their greatest, but it sure will be a very fun game. And when it comes to lanes, I mean, Mark X Wings versus Half Hero is a little bit lopsided since Mark is the sub on the Phantoms, in my opinion, but I don't think Mark X Wings is going to be entirely diffed either.
Mhm.
It's not a matchup where you go, that dude's just gonna feed all game long. Um, it should still be relatively close. Kexen versus Boomhev is gonna be a very fun lane, I'm sure. Um, and from what I hear, given that the results of the set in the minors division, some of these boys are hungry here on the Phantoms. They saw their minors boys take an 0-2 loss and looking to maybe try and get a in organization revenge. As a lot of them are are pretty close. So a little bit of a grudge match in terms of that, but otherwise, I mean, this is two teams that have a lot of talent, a lot of positional things to play for here as well, because these two teams could possibly be some of the cusp teams for getting into the playoffs if, playoff format to be determined. If not all, if all teams rather do not make it into the playoffs, then this could decide whether someone's in or out. So a lot to play for here in week number 2, just week number 2.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
currently we're
Um.
I'll let you go in a moment. Currently we're waiting for one of the players on the Archon Dragons to arrive. So that is why the game is currently delayed. So go for it, man.
Well, I was gonna say that's a really huge thing about season 3 in the QSL. It's such a short season. Last season, we had everybody playing every team once, and then you played your own division twice. So there was a little bit of wiggle room with how things were going to operate. Everybody made the playoffs. This year, uh, you only get one shot at each team. If you lose, you're automatically down a spot. That's simply the way it goes. Um, Now, when we start to figure out how things are going to manipulate for the playoffs, well, we'll see what happens. We're looking further on into the future than any of us can see right now. But after 7 weeks, technically after 8 weeks, but especially after 7 weeks, we're gonna have a pretty good picture of how things are gonna line up for the postseason. And either of these teams could be on the outside looking in, could be on the inside looking out. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But between these two, it is definitely going to be a battle because they know that their playoff lifeline hangs in the balance right now already in week 2.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. At the very least, seeding, if not whether or not they'll be able to still play. And this is an Archon Dragons team that's going to look a lot different going forward. As you might be aware, we do utilize a waiver wire here in the QSL, and the Archon Dragons were the final team when it came to the draft. So currently, they sit as the number 1 spot at the majors level for picking up new players, as in those who are FA eligible. And one monumental man, has gotten himself back on his PC and is available to be picked up, and I anticipate they will do so. NMR will be back in this league to play. He missed out on prospects, he missed out on a couple weeks, but he's here. And if Archon Dragons do the thing that they're expected to do, and they are uncontested, they will have a monumental change there. NMR can really bring a roster around. He's not just a great player, but he makes everyone else around him play even better. So it's it's really a big deal, and I'm super duper excited for him to be back. Number one, because he did sign up, he is legal to play. But two, this could mean this franchise, goes from a team maybe outside looking in to a team that is going to be competitive against those top matchups. So we do finally load in 2 picks and bans. So here we have it. Game number 1 starting within the time limit for getting your first game started. They managed to get here at 10:44. So did not miss out on that sneaky little rule. The rules, they do play a factor sometimes. But we will get our first ban here, something you always expect in Tiamat. But we will see what both teams are going to want to play here. Phantoms do have first pick, so we'll see what they're going to pull out of the bag tonight. What do you think, Red?
Um, I'm looking for them to get a mid laner that they really want to see stages on. Um, Especially with, right now it's the pretty standard meta bans. The Tiamat's going away. There goes the Gilgamesh, the Athena on the other side. Again, the gods that you know can make an impact even when they're not around right now. The standard ones just get rid of. Now is about the point where you have to start thinking, okay, we've seen Duck on and on her. We've seen the hyper carry this way, or we're concerned this way, as the Giannis is going to be picked up. And that's another one, that hyper mobility where you can literally take the team with you to go fight somewhere. And now the soul being taken away by the Pittsburgh Phantoms. So that one takes away a potential ADC as well as a potential mid laner. Um, and it's really this mental gymnastics that's going to go back and forth until the pick comes in. But I'm expecting to see mid laners taken early in this draft.
Yeah, unlike other games and scrims that they've played, I'm pretty sure both teams are going to opt to really put their mid laners high because that is a matchup that you're going to want to see some of the best. Um, sometimes whenever your best player, you have a player that's super good, you just say, well, their god pool is super large, they're never going to get banned out, so just wait until the end, wait after the second wave and figure it out there. But
Hmm.
the mid matchup here is just so important. It's so important. I would
Yeah,
expect so as well. But we will get this
The
pickup
moon will
first.
purify this land.
which is very interesting. Um, Tsukiyomi as a first pick. It's not a terrible pickup. But it already starts pushing that team in a particular direction. And that direction, quite simply, is the dive. So Tsukiyomi loves to dive. He uses his ultimate. He gets in there. And it's going to be a disruption into the
You're only
Archon
hit
Dragons, who have picked
what you
now
aim at.
a Sobek and a Chiron as their duo
Me
lane,
booty is the best
at least
booty.
expected duo lane. Chiron very strong with the Bluestone Trans build right now, still having teeth to it, and the Sobek, a very safe but also very aggressive support pick. Can be played in solo. We've seen him played in solo, but expecting to see it in the
Warriors,
support role
to
tonight. And then
battle.
on the flip side here, we
Tremble
have the
beneath the
on her and
waves.
the Emoja. Ducks on her is a thing of, I would almost call it legend. Ducks on her is quite terrifying to play against. I know from experience. Um, and now we see the Osiris coming in for half hero. So making sure that the tanky, even a little bit more mobile of a warrior in the Osiris in that solo lane. Um, Interestingly enough, no mid laner picked up in the first three picks on either side.
Yeah,
So
they're
kind of missed
playing with a
that
lot
one.
of yeah. We got that wrong entirely. They're playing with a lot of confidence. It seems. With that Tsukiyomi pickup, I think that means
Oh,
that the Phantoms are really looking to, instead of countering the mid lane, they're looking to basically pick him out in team fights. That's what this comp is going for. Is what it looks like. Dive
um,
heavy, isolation heavy comp. So
but the Ra ban comes out, and we
yeah,
know Stages Ra is really, really good.
yeah, it's
Um,
goaded.
and so they take that off the table as a respect ban, and the Raijin going to be taken away as well. So the Giannis is gone, the Soul is gone, the Raijin is gone. That essentially leaves the Scylla. And, well, I was going to say him next. Here's the Merlin. Um, Interesting that the Merlin would be picked up instead of the Scylla, as Merlin has the flicker, he's got the change stance. It's very interesting style of play. Um, but you kind of expected to see the Scylla because, big circles go Bert. I mean, that's just the way it works with her. So if it's not the I'm a monster coming down on top of your head, it's the crush from underneath that's just blowing you up. So you kind of expected to see the Scylla, but no Scylla here, as Merlin's going to be locked in for the mid lane of Olhea. And it's going to be a Raven picked up now
Take pleasure
for
in the crushing
the side of the
one's
Pittsburgh
enemy.
Oh,
Phantoms.
bird.
It won't matter.
Maybe it's hovered. Yep, there it is, locked in. It's the Thoth. So I see your Merlin and your control mage, and I raise you an artillery mage with the cannon from the back going boom.
Yeah. This matchup is going to be kind of crazy. This is really a matchup of different ideas here. Of course, as you mentioned there, both these mages are very different in their play style. They're both safe too, and they're both meta and very good. In fact, a lot of mid laners are extremely meta now, which is very, very exciting. As we see the Hercules get picked up last, so all these matchups are going to be kind of crazy. So what it looks like here is we're going to see Ravana actually in the jungle, Kexen on the Tsukiyomi to face Boomhev on the Herc. So a very, very fun matchup there. The Emoja, not traditionally, at least in the last split, has been played in support, but we will see it tonight. So it's going to be very exciting to see if she's shaped up in this next split here. And can really help support. But you can clearly see from this comp, there's going to be a lot of dive on one end, and on the other end, sort of not only control, but manipulation, team fight manipulation, taking people out of the fight, moving them around. So it's two teams with very different potential playstyles here. So it's interesting.
And it's very clear which play style is going with which team. Looking at the Osiris, the Hercules, and the Sobek on the same team, that is a big front line, but that's a big front line that can still use a lot of CC to punish you if you're out of position. You've got the Herc Boulder, but he can also knock you up and then push you into a wall. You've got the Osiris, who has the tether. He also has his dive that can use the ult. Then on top of it, you've got the pluck out of the Sobek. And when you're doing that into a Merlin and a Chiron, it only takes one hit from either of those. The good sustained damage out of a Merlin, but on top of it, as long as the Chiron hits you once, he can follow up with his 2, and you're dead without even being in range of anybody. So very interesting to basically say, okay, you're going to dive into us. We're going to force you to dive into us properly. And even then, we're still going to collapse on you.
I do want to, because you did point it out early on in that, this is a very interesting matchup because, you have 2 warriors and a guardian on one side, on the side of the Archon dragons, but on the other end, you have 2 assassins and a guardian, but both of those assassins are known to have been very tanky. I mean, Ravana in the past was designated as a warrior, and Tsukiyomi is known as one of the tankier potential junglers, in this case being played in the solo lane, which has been done before. So it's going to be very interesting to see the result, because while the warriors are traditionally more tanky, these are jungle and solo picks that are pretty strong in that regard too. So it's a very, very interesting comp on both sides, and the matchups are going to be pretty crazy as the minions hit. This is only week 2, Quack and Smite League After Dark. I am Jeremy, joined by Red Sniper, and here we go. The matchup begins. So, early on, not a ton of action. Everyone's sort of meeting there. A little bit of just jumping around and whatnot, as you would expect in any matchup. A little bit of it looked like a missed pluck by Tantalus there, as he's kind of caught a tiny bit out, but he should be able to really get out of that situation. But Anher is going to actually dive in. Duck gets the knock up there, and he gets the pluck with the blink, and there goes Duck. That's first blood already, 1 minute, 24 seconds in, and we're seeing the cringe gank coming in here too by the jungle. He's going to blink right in, but he only has the slow there, but he opts to use the roots on the tankier Sobek there. And the Sobek misses the pluck there. He is a bit out of position, but I don't think either of them have much in their kit left here, as this is only level 2. Mark does end up falling. We're already see 2-0 in favor of the Archon Dragons, and I'm a Gamer will be the next, with SM Specify picking up a double and already a killing spree, owning all of the kills at 2 minutes in.
Yeah, so we start off with a fiesta already, or at least the makings of a fiesta already. But interestingly enough, we see the Merlin go Sands of Time, which is kind of expected, especially with that that kit. But on top of it, you see the Thoth going with the Vampiric Shroud. Gonna give him a little bit more sustain, stealing the healing from his opponent. And then on top of it, because he is an artillery mage, he's going to get that ability to do so from distance. So we'll see if Olhea is going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with the range of the Thoth, or if he's going to be able to flicker in or even flicker out. It's going to be interesting to see how these mid laners deal with each other. As a little bit of friendly banter going back and forth there, as they're waiting for the waves. But just something of interest, as we got another gank happening in the solo lane.
Yeah, just a tiny little gank. No kill potential there yet. But yeah, we're already seeing a little bit of action here in the jungle. Both of them going over unsuccessful counter gank there by the Ravana. The numbers just weren't there. The levels just weren't there. And that's the only engagement we've really seen so far by either squad. We are going to see Ravana go up to Olea, give him a little bit of a slap, and walk away as the flicker is used. So, not much to say. It seems to be the focus was on duo, and I think that's probably going to be what the junglers are going to opt. They're going to say, you know what? Let mid be an epic matchup. Let them decide the outcome. Let's visit the side lanes and see what we can do from there. So we do see Mark X Wings opting for that. He does have the level 5 now, so he can just jump in for initiation or to finish off somebody, as he will use it on SM Specify. SM Specify below half health, but gets under tower. No real kill potential here yet, but Stages has set himself up here, trying to go for this gank here as he charges up the ult, but opts to not use it, as it seems like there's no abilities around. But in the other lane, actually recognizing the fact that the enemy jungler, was on the other side of the map, half hero, comes in and ganks Kexin. And so that will be 4 kills for the Archon Dragons so far. What a crazy matchup.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're starting to see that ebb and flow of the game as it's progressing now in the laning phase, and the pressure back and forth from both sides, as Archon Dragon's getting the better of the Pittsburgh Phantoms right now. And to be completely honest, I kind of expect it, at least with how things are set up. That Osiris is really going to make himself a nuisance into Kexin's Tsukiyomi, at least for a little bit right now. Suki really wants to dive, and he's going to be a very good team fight asset, but in lane, it's going to be a little difficult for him to go toe-to-toe with 2 warriors constantly clamping down on him. Now, that being said, as the farm being taken over here in the right jungle, it's kind of the Ravana's problem right now, is where he's not going to have all the farm that he wants. And as he starts to push more and more to the duo lane, as we've seen him do it twice already, he's going to be sacrificing a little bit more of that farm just to try and relieve some of the pressure in the duo lane. Duck is very, very good at diving in, getting the 1v1, making sure that he is picking the unfair fight that is in his advantage. However, Specify's not going to let him have that as easy, especially in this game. And we've already seen it. He's up 3 kills right now. So we'll see how Duck is going to be able to cope with this early on in this game.
Yeah, so as we do see both ults used, one to initiate and one to get out there by the junglers, and big damage coming out by the Thoth. Mark X Wings actually blinks in on that fight. He will die, but Specify will pick up the kill, so he will get healed out of his ultimate. Duck dies at the hand of Half Hero. This is starting to be a disaster here for the Pittsburgh Phantoms, as that Gator ult will force everyone else off of that engagement, and so nothing to be won there. After Mark gets picked out there and both ults were forced, a very disadvantageous fight occurs for the Phantoms as they go down 6 kills to none. You're already seeing somewhat of a difference here. Oh, Blink is actually, hold on, used here. Stages might die here in this mid lane, and he will at the favor of Olea, and it's now 7-0 for the Archon Dragons. I was just about to point out Merlin is actually ahead by 2 levels. 1 level ahead in the jungle for Archon Dragons, 1 level ahead at the solo lane. And support and ADC currently locked up tight. So already a little bit of a difference here. And if we take a look at the graphs, it's already 3K, almost 4K in the XP column, but 3K in the gold diff column for the Archon Dragons.
I mean, I know it's still early, but this is right now where the Pittsburgh Phantoms need to kind of crack down and go, okay, we understand that we're not winning these fights right now, as Duck falls again to Specify, but we know we're not winning these fights right now. We need to play a little bit more carefully and play for the team fight phase. We've got to play for late game now because we are this far behind. Now, that does not mean that we instantly give over objectives. That does not mean that we don't fight when it is to our advantage. However, we need to be careful when we pick fights. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Pittsburgh Phantoms are going to be able to turn this back around if they are able to. Again, 3K, 3,500 XP and gold. It's not an insignificant value at only 9 minutes in. So they've got to do something and do something quick. But you can't be. You also can't put too much effort into it. We've seen a lot of players, especially in the minor leagues sometimes, where they kind of tell themselves, look, I have to be the one to do this. I've got to be the one that carries. I need to, do something for my team. And they end up just getting caught out over and over again. And that's the last thing you want to do if you're Pittsburgh Phantoms here, especially into Archon Dragons that already have 8 kills. So let's see if the Archon Dragons will keep this momentum up. As we do see Emoja ult coming out, Specify will be able to get out of that. But we'll see if Archon Dragons are able to keep this momentum up, or if, in fact, the Pittsburgh Phantoms are going to take measured steps back into this game. And we'll see if maybe they can get a couple picks, get that farm a little bit more equated, and we'll see how the team fights pan out a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, some of the name of the game here is just making sure in the right position. But over there, sorry, holy crap, who falls very quickly? He who is Kexen, as that wraps up the 9th straight kill with no answer for the Archon Dragons. And I believe that is also the 2nd in the solo lane, yes. So now we're going to go for the objective here. Half Hero and Boomhead will have the damage and the tank necessary to grab this Pyromancer, and no one's going to be able to do anything about it, as Stages barely is able to get out of that situation. So we're already seeing things get a little bit out of hand. And as you said, when you're down, your option should not be to take disadvantageous engagements. Make sure to play somewhat safe, but also take your advantages where you can find them. Because sometimes players, and you said, especially in the minor league, they start to make risky plays whenever they're behind, and that's not really the move. You don't want to have any risks. You want to make sure that you're smart about your play, not less accurate about your play. So I do expect here in the majors, as they pick out some of these wards here, on the Phantom side, making sure that they keep vision out of their own jungle, because it seems a big point of contention here so far with the grouping is this Gold Fury, as I'm a Gamer does get plucked here, but not much else to answer it, as Mark was there ready with the root. So as a couple people left to go and get their farm is rotating up, so they're going to simply go back to their own lanes, as lots of damage coming out by either side. Duck is going to have to use that slow there, but watch out, Specify does have that dash there, and he's going to miss 1, 2, and hit the 3. As Duck is in a very precarious position right here. Tantalus does not have the blink up yet, but he will have it in a few seconds. Mark is here to try and keep an eye on them, as Duck is just trying to stay under tower and survive. Mark will get that pluck, and he will use his ultimate to escape from that situation as more pressure comes out here. I'm a Gamer being picked out here by Half Hero so far. Going to use that portal there to try and get out, as we do finally see that blink come out. I'm a Gamer opting to use that ultimate there to maybe try and save his life and maybe the life of his mid laner, but Stages will be the next one to fall, as well as I'm a Gamer. Half Hero, though, Perspective Duck is able to pick up the first kill for the Pittsburgh Phantoms there, so not too much is lost, but a very unfortunate and defensive engagement that they take there, as the Archon Dragons is really punishing this dive comp so far, not letting them dive at all, and just putting the aggression up to 100, as they will... Oh no! Pittsburgh Phantoms actually do manage with the ultimate on the On-Her to pick up the Gold Fury.
Yeah, that was one thing I was a little concerned about looking at the lineup of the Archon Dragons there. It when you're looking for secure, objective secure on this team, you don't really have a lot of it. I mean, the Merlin will burn down objectives very quickly, but really you're looking more for maybe the ultimate of the Chiron, and even then, that's not a sure thing. It's basically just empowered autos, and so if you're not swinging very hard, you're not going to get a lot of damage out of that thing. So you've got to be very, very careful with how you're able to zone out in picking up objectives. As
I keep missing this. The solo lane is like less interesting usually, but all these ganks here by Half Hero are just making sure Kexen can't even have fun. He can't even play the Smite game. He's sitting on the grayscales screen all the time.
Yeah. But going back to my earlier conversation, Stages is actually the objective secure that Pittsburgh Phantom needs. That ultimate is going to be excellent as we see the gank comes out, and Mark Wings is going to be knocked back by the dash of SM Specify. The objective secure on both the On-Her and the Thoth is pretty stinking good when you're looking at it. However, I can't say the same for the Archon Dragons. We'll see if they're able to either be a little bit more effective in their warding, or if they're going to find something else.
As I'm a Gamer does get picked out here, he uses his ultimate to maybe have a fighting chance here. As Kexen will jump in, this fight has turned out big. Mark X Wings uses his ultimate aggressively. I'm a Gamer is the first one to fall here in this engagement. Tsukiyomi diving onto Half Hero. Half Hero will pick up his second death and the second death of that team, but Mark is very low. Mark is trying to run away as Kexen uses that stun. The blink comes out by Mark in order to secure his escape. A little bit more damage here coming out on the part of both Boomhev and Kexen, but Stages is able to make sure that his friend stays alive for a little bit longer. Tantalus getting very low, will fall to the favor of Stages. Stages' first kill of the game. No, actually the third kill, sorry. As the first kill for Duck. Not Duck. Hold on. Sorry. Losing my mind here a little bit. I apologize, but a lot of kills there for Stages. He gets his first, second, and third there. But
that was
you do have to watch out because Archon Dragon does pick up the Pyro again.
Yeah, that was the big swing that the Pittsburgh Phantoms needed. You see, that put some significant dents into the lead of the Archon Dragons. And now where it was over 5k XP, over 4k uh, in the gold department, now it starts to come back little by little in favor of the Pittsburgh Phantoms. So now the farm is there. They've got to get a bit of a reset, and the dance for Fire Giant will start happening sooner rather than later, especially when the Primal Fury is going to be up. But we'll see as 3 members of the Pittsburgh Phantoms coming over into the side lane, and well, never mind. They're not going to go for the objective. They're really just looking for a little bit more farm or to catch out someone from Archon Dragons, maybe to try and turn a quick fight into an advantage.
Yeah, as we look over the dual lane, Duck is kind of between a rock and a horse as he desperately tries to survive this ADC battle here, but it will not work out. Specify does hit unstoppable, so you do have to be aware that there are some comeback mechanics. Of course, with that man not having died yet, there's a huge bounty on his head as he's actually able to dash before the ultimate blocks his escape. He will drop that Aegis there in order to stay alive there, and he will drop the ultimate as well, but Stages does pick up the shutdown gold, as on the other end, Kexen again unable to play the game. He falls again to half hero, the combination of the jungle and solo lane, as a little bit more pressure is now put onto this side of the map, so it's very clear what the Archon Dragons want. They do want this Fire Giant, but they better watch out because Stages just got a huge shutdown bounty. So he will be looking to pick up more items here. And he does still sit at a little bit less in terms of level, but, you know, when we come to look at this golden XP diff, you know, it's starting to get back. It's going to be somewhat close here as we reach the mid to late game, the objective portion of the game. It's not entirely in favor of one team or the other, but Archon Dragons are still clearly ahead in many different departments. And it seems a lot of players are still playing well over their opponents. So we see as Boomhev and Half Hero opt to come into this fight here. Duck says, I'm going to jump out of here. Do not want to deal with this at the moment, as we see a significant group up. 4 members of Phantom and only 2 here as Merlin does approach. So we see 3v4, Tsukiyomi making his way to the mid lane here. A huge grouping for this Primal, most likely, as the Archon Dragons take a very aggressive stance, as they usually do. Boomhev taking significant damage there on the front line, as the Primal is picked up here. It's below half health. Mark X-Wings has jumped into it, as Tsukiyomi will use his ultimate to force people off of that Primal, trying to focus anybody out that he can. He does find SM Specify, who is healing quite rapidly. Mark, though, getting picked out, but the stun does not land there by Boomhev. Tantalus on the back is the first one to fall. Half Hero comes in with Stages picking up a double there. Mark picking up the next kill onto Boomhev. This is starting to become a disaster here for the Archon Dragons, possibly playing too aggressively, as this Primal is going to come up, and the triple kill by Stages picks up yet another kill there, and Olay getting quite low, trying to get out of here, and he will die with the Quadra and Deicide by Stages. Oh my god. That turns everything around. If you take a look at gold, it's dead even. XP is in favor. They have all the pressure in the world to pick up this FG. That is an insane moment as Tantalus becomes the first one to spawn back here. Oh my god, it looks like they will opt to back, and of course a couple members will come here. Not everyone is at level 20 yet, but this fight around this FG will be extremely close and can or will decide the outcome of this game.
Yeah,
Speechless Red.
That was a huge team fight by Pittsburgh Phantoms. Kind of saw what happened early on that led to the first death by Boomhev, and that was the overstaying of one's welcome. That team fight split into 3 pieces. And while the team fight splits, you see that, one part goes badly, then the next part starts to turn. The third one is just a chase down, but the third one eventually starts the chase down, I should say the third one, that chase lasts long enough that the Pittsburgh Phantoms are able to come back and collapse back onto Olhea, and he has nowhere to go and eventually just gives himself up. But this is an absolute turn in this game. And now it's literally a coin flip. Anybody can win this thing.
It's all about this fight that's about to occur here around this fire giant, as Ole is in that ice stance there, trying to pick up that scorpion there. But this, as you said, like, that fight was just entirely advantageous. When you start to see things not go well in terms of the fight, it gets broken up as Tantalus gets a ton of damage there by most members, 3 members there, of the Pittsburgh Phantoms, and so he's going to have to back. So they know that they do have at least a 4-man advantage. Currently, it's only 3 people that are sitting here around this fire giant pit, and that's somewhat dubious as a couple of them roam around. But it looks like everyone on Archon Dragon should be back. They're playing with this sort of pincer here, with 2 members up here, 3 members over here, possibly looking to get in on this fight, maybe push around, but it looks like the entirety of the Phantoms are now moving over towards this, as I'm a Gamer does get the pluck, but a lot of damage coming up by Tantalus. He's going to be blocked by the Yamoja ultimate. He will fall there eventually to Perspective Duck, but that is a lot of stuff that falls there. That's 3 ultimates for only 1, and for 1 kill. So you've lost a lot there. So you will have to be careful if a steal happens here, as we do see Kexen jump in with the blink, but he will take a lot of damage and a stun. Has to use his beads, as Specify is somewhat taken out of this fight here. Mark really focusing him down, as Kexen still comes in to try and pick up the stun, misses it, and the ice dance will kill him eventually, and Mark X Wings will fall to half hero as well. So now the fight advantage turns in favor of Archon Dragons, but they do have to be careful as they are low, and they will opt back, and I imagine so will the members of the Pittsburgh Phantoms. So while a slight advantage comes there in favor, once again, of the Archon Dragons, this game is still very, very close.
And again, we see that huge swing one direction, and now it's brought all the way back. Both of these teams are fighting tooth and nail as to not give the advantage over. And that's just the way this set is going to go. It's not going to be one team making the mistakes and just kind of giving it to the other team. Both sides are saying, no, you want to beat us? You got to earn it. So kudos to both of them so far in this game. And even now, in an absolute stalemate between these 2 teams as to how are the objectives going to fall and how are the team fights going to go. Because we've seen it now, both sides have had good success, but also a little slip up. And so we see the vulnerabilities that both teams here could really make a name for themselves this week.
For sure. There's definitely a lot of positional things in mind here. It looks like Pittsburgh Phantoms might have recognized that all the pressure is not here yet for the Fire Giant, but they will opt to not immediately start it. They're going to look around, see what their options are. They see that Boomhev is here, and I'm a Gamer will use that to try and catch him out, but it looks like the blink there came out. Yeah, the blink was in fact used by Boomhev in order to get out of that situation, so he avoids getting picked out as he was in the previous fight. So that is a very huge thing. Blink for an ultimate there. As we reach into the pocket of this fight, lots of eyes being spread everywhere across mid and mid-solo jungle, as small advantages are trying to be taken by both teams still picking up the farm that's in the area. They don't want to get behind by any means necessary. And
yeah, at this point, we're just waiting to see which team is going to be aggressive and which team doesn't want to be aggressive. We're going to see where the initiation is going to lie here. And it's going to be a very, very tough call. I mean, most of these teams, between these two teams, you definitely want to see blue team wants to dive. They like to dive, but at the same time, as the ultimates are coming out, and here comes the team fight.
Yeah, here comes the team fight as Boomhev comes in there, and Perspective Duck will take a significant amount of damage. Kexen sort of left alone there in the middle of the whole team. A lot of damage, though, comes out onto Olay, but Kexen will be the first one to fall, but that's a lot of low health bars there. A lot of red you're seeing, and Mark X Wings will pick up the double kill, chasing down Boomhev to try and get the triple as his team follows him. Specify getting low and will get picked up by Stages as he hits the divine 9 kills in a row. After getting killed twice early, he picks up the double as well onto Half Hero. 10 and 2 rather, and possibly 11 and 2 as he tries to pick up Boomhev. A massive turnaround after getting killed twice. And by the way, Stages, if you're watching the VOD right now, I did not agree to take a shot every time you get a kill, so I will not be dying here tonight. As the Pittsburgh Phantoms do finally pick up the Fire Giant and the Pyromancer. As Stages still tries to get this kill onto Boomhev, he will use the ultimate and Immortal will be called, and the deicide as Stages just heals up all of that. Oh boy, what a game.
Oh my goodness. If he does not have Fire Giant buff there, he dies. Straight up. Because that extra sustain, that extra ability, oh man.
Well,
I'm
recall one special thing here. We do have the ability to... no, it's no longer the Little Shroud. So, I was going to say that into a matchup against a Hercules, you're just able to steal his healing. But that's no longer the case, but he does have that lifesteal, so he's able to have that sustain, and you know, there is that interesting little caveat there with Sacrificial Shroud. Your abilities cost 5% of your maximum health, but it won't kill you. So that's possibly why his health got so low, but he was still managed to keep himself alive. It's a risk-reward item, and it's very interesting that he went that pick here today. As we do see full builds coming out on a lot of the players here, as level 20 is also hit too. So it's very interesting, as, you know, boots are gone, so full builds are here and now. So, yeah, give us your thoughts, Red, and possibly maybe any thoughts on these builds so far.
Yeah, so the Thoth Sacrificial Shroud, I mean, for him, especially being an artillery mage, it kind of makes sense. You want to stay back and free cast from beyond the backline. So 5% damage, as long as you have, and he does, he's got the Divine Ruin and he's got Soul Gem. So he's got enough healing plus the 15% from the Sacrificial Shroud. He's got enough healing that he should be able to heal that back very, very quickly. And on top of that, you're getting an extra 15% on massive amounts of damage. Talking about that ultimate that comes out and just obliterates people as we see it.
As we do see the engagement here, the pool coming in here, or the pluck rather, by the Gator Man himself, but sorry, I'm a gamer, is able to use that ultimate to effectively zone out the enemy team and pick up that power play here as Mark X Wings opts to dive onto that tower. They pick it up pretty easily as these health bars are pretty low here for Order side, so they should look to really back off of this fight despite having the one-man advantage. Maybe grab some of their farm, but they do have to be careful here. Archon Dragons are lurking, so they can't really stick around and steal stuff. They're going to look as Boomhev does hit the blink as Kexen hits the blink in response and forces him off as huge damage comes out onto Olay, and he has to use that Aegis to stay alive. Mark X Wings is focusing him on the back line here as the rest of the front line deal with the menace that is Half Hero, but Half Hero will not be enough. Specify manages to grab Mark, though, being a little bit overextended there. Still 1-for-1, but Olay does in fact get picked up here, and Boomhev gets hit by a lot of Kexen's ultimate there. But you do have to watch out. SM Specify is there, as we do see an Aegis and a dash there, as Stages will pick up the kill and the godlike. by getting SM Specify, as Tantalus does a significant amount of work, but his team really isn't with them. It might not be enough. As he dashes through here, Kexen manages to get the Caltrops out for the final damage and the kill. That is 4 for 1 so far. This is a Phoenix Siege with only one defender. I'm not even quite sure what the next move is. Are they going to opt to try and end here? And it looks like that will be the call. They start dealing damage and pull that Titan as Boomhev is going to look to try and keep this team in the fight. But huge damage with the ultimate coming out by Thought. And game 1 goes to Pittsburgh Phantoms from behind.
That was oh my goodness. How do I even talk about this? Honestly, I thought that maybe, just maybe, it was Stages kind of saying, okay, I'm going to sit back on the Thoth. We'll see how this game's going to go. I'll get into the late game and, we'll work together as a team to get this going and we'll maneuver it in the right direction. And eventually, when that didn't happen, when Duck was getting dove, when I'm a Gamer was getting, stymied, when Mark wasn't able to do much, they just finally just said, okay, guys, nuts on this. I got my 4-person backpack. Jump in, and I'll take you to the finish line. No worries.
I mean, that's
And
not
when
even
you
like...
look at it,
yeah, I mean, you look at it, you see the numbers. Like, Stages did some pretty nutty numbers, but that's not to say that the other players weren't a non-factor there. Duck had to have a silent game. That's just how the early game went. So Duck really just played how he needed to. But there was a significant amount of setup from I'm a Gamer, Mark, and Kexen that allowed Stages to thrive there. This is not just a one-man game. There was a lot to play for when it came to the CC and the manipulation of team fights that comes in the form of your jungler, your support, and your solo lane. So that it's definitely like Stages MVP on that game 1 for sure. But there was a lot of stuff that went online as the game progressed that really helped Stages shine, and he just let the team fights play around him and took that advantage.
I will never discount any form of CC that helps your team win a game. Okay, and that comes down to Kexen and Wayne and Mark and Duck. I have no problem with it, and especially I'm a Gamer with those Umoja ults, zoning out fights, getting those isolations. I have no problem, with that, but once you hit the CC, there has to be a recognition from Stages to just pop that. I mean, the follow-up damage has to be there, and every single time without exception, wham, the ult comes through, or the cannon comes through from Stages every single time. And yes, he started slow. He went like 0-2 and 3, I believe, to start, and then goes 13 in a row. GG. Okay, straight up GG to Stages. Now, on the flip side of that,
Here, Red. I'll let you sort of explain your thought process. I'll be right back. I need
Yep,
more.
don't
I need
worry.
more water because
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So on the flip side of that, when we're taking a look at the um specifically at Archon Dragons, they started out very, very well. That snowball, just you could see it starting to roll down the hill, bigger and bigger and bigger, and you saw the 5-man death ball happening. Specify was getting Duck picked off. Tantalus was doing his job as a frontliner very well. Boomhev and Half Hero were controlling the solo lane without a problem. Ohea had no problem in the mid lane going toe to toe with Stages when it came to just playing the lane. However, the big difference in this game was the team fighting capabilities and when they decided to engage. More often than not, the impatient team was the one that lost the team fight. You saw many times Archon Dragons goes in and attempts to get the engage, And instantly, there's a recognition and a pullback by the Archon Dragons. Or sorry, the Archon Dragons go in, and there's a pullback by the Pittsburgh Phantoms. And that pullback means that there's a lot of abilities that are wasted, a lot of CC that's wasted. And then the turnaround happens, and they start picking off someone who just happens to be low, or a little bit here and a little bit there. Absolutely wonderfully done. But on this side right now, on the side of the Archon Dragons, they've got to be thinking to themselves just a little bit, okay, what went wrong? Yeah, we know Stages kind of controlled things a little bit. We don't want him doing that anymore. But we were able to shut down Kexen most times. Duck was having problems in the side lane. I mean, it's really the wards you got to be worried about. You know, making sure that you have the vision. But then the biggest thing that hurt them was the objective control. I said it early on after that Gold Fury got stolen away. There wasn't a lot of objective secure and objective control on the side of the Archon Dragons. Yes, Chiron is very, very strong in lane, decent in a team fight. Same thing with Merlin. Very good in lane, very good in a team fight. But when you're specifically going after objectives, you just don't have the cannon like Stages does. You don't have the Desert Fury like Anher does on Duck. And because of that, you saw those little objective advantages, the Primal Furies, the gold, the gold, or the Fire Giant, the Gold Fury, the Pyromancer. 80% of those objectives went in favor of the Phantoms. And that, I believe, was the deciding factor. You start with the little advantage, you get the big one later on. Started with the small advantage of the objectives, and it ended up being the good team fight win, and they pushed it through for a victory.
Yes, sir. Indeed. So, as I get set up here for the next game, Archon Dragons will be first pick this time. So, it will be interesting to see how the picks and bans sort of get shaped by the previous matchup, of course. It's very interesting, of course, whenever you have the regular bans, and then you have bans when it comes to whoever pops off, right? So you might see some of those artillery majors just getting pushed off the map for one team or another because of reactions, possibly other things. You know, there was a lot of Osiris hanging out in that solo lane, so I'm sure that not many people are happy about that on Phantoms, so they're going to opt to try and clean that up a little bit as I catch up here for the stream on these bans here.
Yeah, bans coming fast and furious already. The Archon Dragons already know what the problems were. Get rid of Stage's comfort picks. Get rid of the hyper carry of the hyper mobility of the Honest. Get rid of that Raw. And get rid of the Umoja, who is able to split up the team fights and catch people out. Don't let them do that. On the other side, we don't want to face a Tiamat. We know that, you know, Olhea on a Tiamat is not going to be great for us. Also, let's get rid of the Soul. We don't want the potential magical ADC. We don't want the potential of having that in the mid lane. And the Gilgamesh is just flat out strong more often than not. Speaking of flat out strong more often than not, first pick, they left her up. It's the Athena. Great, great team fighter when it comes to, oh, you wanted to be 3-on-3? Well, guess what? Now it's 3-on-4, and the person I ulted in on has extra protections. Good luck turning that fight.
Yeah, I mean it's not even just the team fight, it's just the anti-gank, you know. Somebody's getting ganked. Someone goes over comms, hey, I'm getting ganked, and you as Athena go, okay, ult, I'm here now. My friend was protected a little bit more while I was getting here, and now I am here, and this engagement has now been made even. So you have to play it very carefully across the map. But speaking of stuff that's across the map, we're seeing the Apollo picked up, as well as I'm pretty sure that's going to be Capricorn on support.
I don't know about that.
I'm a gamer talked about it before. He wanted to pick it, so
Yeah, the Psy definitely came out because of the Kabrak and not because of the Apollo. Duck on the Apollo. I mean, I kind of expected that. One global for another global, fine, but Kabrakan, really? The Kabrakan players are a different breed, kind of like Loki players. Either you're either you're feeding your brains out and you just you mirror wall in the worst possible places, essentially, or you are instantaneously stunning, throwing up your walls perfectly, messing up the other team's team fight, and just being a general menace to society. So we'll see which Kabrakan shows up in this game. On the flip side, Wukong, very, very good solo laner, and the Tsukiyomi. So we saw it last game. We're seeing it again this game. Anything you can do, I can do better, Kexen. We'll see if the Tsukiyomi is going to be played a little bit more effectively by the Archon Dragons, or if maybe they have a different perspective on how Suki's going to play this.
Well, they have picked up the sun, so I expect that's going to be a Tsukiyomi in the jungle instead. So it's not necessarily a whatever you can do, I can do better, but it's definitely somewhat of at least kind of a respect band, because Kexen did manage out of laning phase to sort of carry that game through. But it looks like Kexen is going to go for a somewhat safe pick, so this is going to be the traditional slog lane of Guan Yu versus Sun. As Chiron is banned here, definitely respect, because SM Specify was kind of sort of nutty. And double respect as the bird gets banned here. I'm sure. Oh, sorry. On. Yeah. My thing here. Yeah. Big bird. Big bird. I'm losing my mind.
Yep.
Bird
Gobert.
Bird Gobert.
Yeah. So essentially, anything with a bird, Stages is not allowed to play. No Ra, no Thoth. That's essentially where this goes right now.
I can confirm, in our team chat, his name is the Birdman Nerd. So, oops, only birds. New site rolling out soon. Only birds.
Only birds.
May the gods of Valkyrie surround you.
Yeah,
but there will not be a bird tonight, of course.
Nope.
But look at this comp.
Okay. Bears did point out that Horus is a bird, although I'm highly doubt. I do highly
in
doubt
this match, yeah,
that Horus is going to be showing up in this one. Wait a second. No, that's good. Okay, come on, man. The hover is one thing. The hover is one thing. Is a Chernobog and a Hell are being hovered right now.
The Chernobog is locked.
Okay, that's expected. Wait.
The Zeus is hovered too.
The Zeus. Okay. The Zeus has been constantly crapped on by everyone's tier list possibly because he has zero mobility.
That's a Nox. That's a Nox.
That's a Nox.
That's a Nox in the mid lane. Nox in the mid lane foe today. Snake. Snake. Is that a snake? Is that a Kukulkan? This match is hilarious. What is going on?
Oh,
there's two warriors and a guardian, and it's locked in. Oh my god. What is happening? Capricorn solo?
So remember when I was messing with people and essentially just saying, you know, this becomes the, you know, which bias is the best bias to be biased with. This is now which troll is the best troll to be trolled with.
No, buddy. This is Guan Yu jungle. Capricorn solo lane. Odin support. This is what this has come to.
Again, which troll is the best troll to be trolled with?
I mean,
mid, or are you looking at the Guan Yu jungle going, yeah, that one right there?
there's There's a lot that I actually like love here. So I'm gonna have to give it to Archon Dragons in terms of the actual draft here. But there's a lot to talk about on the other end. I mean, that own cage can play a really big factor in fights. I mean, that own cage can effectively be able to just find Nox and make it so that way she can't play the game. Anyone who has a dash but not a leap or a teleport is kind of, up Crap's Creek
Well,
with no paddle.
yeah, and so Boomhev has to use his ultimate. Tantalus has to use his ultimate. Half Hero has to use his ultimate. And Specify would have to use his ultimate. None of them have a leap. Ulhea, I think, literally has to go into another character and have them use their ultimate.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct.
So yeah, that Odin cage is going to be a feisty thing during this game. If they step up too quickly, it could be a big problem for the Archon Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, I was just checking chat there. Kexen locks in the cab, and then Bears says, I see we're punching on troll cards. Which I can't blame him for saying. I mean, you look at this matchup, it's kind of insane. But I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of stuff on either side. A lot of things that can go either way. I don't think Nox is bad. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this with a caveat. So Nox mid hasn't been seen in a long time. Traditionally, if you see Nox, you see Nox support. But hear me out. Nox does a crap ton of damage, and if you let her, she will become a monster that you cannot deal with. So you have to be very careful, but as you said, this team is very shutdownable by the Odin. If you see excellent support gaming by I'm a Gamer, this could just very well be just a very unfun matchup with really the only person who has a built-in way to get out is Sun Wukong as long as he has his ultimate. The other ones have to use it in somewhat of a situational fashion, depending on where other players are at. Like for Tsukiyami, you have to ult people and then they have to be outside the cage. For Olea, you have to get inside of someone who can get out of the cage. For Chernobog, you have to ult in on someone who is out of the cage. So a lot of that there. As Half Hero does take a lot of damage, but over in the duo lane though, we see Perspective Duck picking up the first blood there onto SM Specify. Interesting. I was looking at a lot of the damage coming out of the mid lane. I apologize, I missed that.
The Apollo can be an early game monster if you let him become an early game monster, especially when you have an Odin that is known for having a very decent clear and is very strong right now. So that is going to be a fun one. As well, Kexen goes down to Boomhev.
Yeah, Kexen just not having the greatest times in this set so far. But yeah, the solo lane slog does happen. I keep missing this. Solo lane is cursed for me today. I don't know.
It's not just you.
It's usually cursed.
Well, so,
but
yeah.
Usually I'm better on my game. I apologize. I'm a little bit distracted. But yeah, we see another one as Kexen comes back in, is doing a lot of damage. We will see Bullform come out to make sure Kexen isn't able to just completely pick up that kill as Boomhev gets pretty low. Gonna have to pop a pot there or two. Get those actives going. But yeah, so far it's a 1-1. One first blood by Duck and one kill by Boomhev. As Boomhev does opt to back. SM Specify hit with that stun there, but not much else to do there. So somewhat of a calm state of the game so far, as we do see aggression here by the Pittsburgh Phantoms trying to pick up this purple here. As I'm a Gamer does frontline take a lot of damage. He is low on mana, so they will opt to end this aggression, go pick up their own farm instead of the enemies. And things somewhat normalize for now. We do see some fun stuff, though. If you take a look at the builds, we see Fighter's Mask getting picked up by the Cabrakan. Masks have become a lot more popular. They used to be extremely popular in earlier versions of the game. They sort of have been forgotten since then, but have seen a resurgence at the end of the last split, and certainly here in this one, on certain characters. You know, basically you get a crap ton of damage at the expense of your own tankiness, and sometimes if you're just a tanky character, who cares? Like, if you just go all out, you can win fights. So
Yeah, you build the health, and eventually, you end up getting more health than any kind of sacrifice from that. Similar to the sacrificial shroud of last game.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It used to be looked at as a risk and something that was unnecessary, but now it's being looked at as very good, as we see Half Hero sort of sitting around here, possibly looking to see what he did in the previous game, but apologies once again, Duck actually picking up the kill there, or actually did he? No, he was involved.
No, I'm a gamer got that one.
Yes. I'm a Gamer managed to pick up that kill there. Right? Or Mark? No, I think it was Mark. Mark has the kill credit.
Mark X Wings got the kill credit on that one. That was the Guan Yu that got that one.
Yes.
So the gank coming through here.
Oh my god, that's all at least we pick up the second one. So a dive there by Kexen. Successful? Question mark?
Yeah, that's a good question mark. It is a 1-for-1 essentially on the trade. But you're still kind of looking at it going, what does it gain you at the end of the day? What does it give you as an advantage? It allows your Guan Yu to push the lane forward and get a little tower damage, but in lane you're still kind of just even.
Yeah, I mean, that shows a significant advantage for Boomhev if he's able to get a kill under there, as I'm a Gamer uses that ultimate onto Tantalus, trying to pick it up as the Cuckoo Khan ultimate comes in as well. Tantalus falls there very easily, and now Mark X Wings trying to deal damage to Olea, but she does have that root and that silence that will keep her safe in that engagement. But as I was saying, if you're in the solo lane and you're getting killed underneath your tier 1, you have to look at that as a failure, because you basically, that was a 2-for-1. As Kexen does a lot of damage there by the Rumble, but it's not going to be enough. Boomhev will stay alive, and Half Hero is now lurking in the area, trying to pick up the farm or the god here, as he continues to lurk, just to make sure that his buddy stays safe as he heals up. As for Pittsburgh Phantoms, they do pick up that Scorpion for gold, and so now gold will be on the map very shortly, in 20 seconds, as the gank comes in here onto Kexen. Boomhev now finally at half health, so he is very much able to stay in this fight, as Kexen will be able to use that ability, but to no avail. Mark coming in somewhat late for this counter engagement, but Athena will have the ultimate to drop in, and the damage will come out, and the pull, and Mark will die very easily and simply. Counter engagement, there was not. It was full damage for the Archon Dragons as they pick up that kill. 2 kills.
Yeah, looking across the board right now, you see a slight advantage, an ever so slight advantage in favor of the Pittsburgh Phantoms. Archon Dragons have the solo lane lead 9-8, but it's starting to swing back now. Jungle 8-7, even in the mid lane, and then the advantage in the duo is essentially non-existent now. It's maybe half a level. So again, getting very, very close here as, oh, here we go. The Ox form going to be utilized, knocked up onto Kexen, and now he's going to be running from Half Hero and Boomhev, who were looking for blood, but they said, nope, not worth it. Not at this point.
Yeah, we're seeing this constant pressure coming into the solo lane, so it seems that they're just running back the strat from the previous match. with the solo lane pressure. Olea, though, taking a lot of damage by the Kukulkan ult. He gets very low, and he will fall to Stages as Stages gets his first kill of the game, and Athena will opt to get out of the situation. Half here trying to pick up Mark here as the ultimate will be dropped. The cavalry charge to come in, but an ultimate will be used in turn by Half Hero. Mark will take a lot of damage and he will fall. Kexen trying to have a little bit of counter, but that's 3 people to his own self. He will get a ton of damage and will ultimately fall.
Yeah, this one keeps going back and forth. And again, it's the, do you stay? Do you push? Do you not stay? Are you getting caught out? How do you escape from this? And when you're a giant Cabrakan, getting out from anything is a task. So his positioning has to be on point. Every time his positioning has not been on point, he's paid for it with his life. That's why he's 1-4-0 right now.
I would say one of those kills was him being out of position. That one that we just saw, his death spreader.
I was going to say at least 2 of them were ganks, but
yeah,
you've got to look at it as... Yeah, I was going to say, though, 9 times out of 10 when you're looking at a gank that happens, and it's one of those...
Dark takes a lot of damage there by Olea on this engagement here. Getting a little bit cocky are the Phantoms, and they pay for it with Duck's life.
Yeah.
Possibly Anagamers as well, though. As the big combo with the Suki and Athena, but his own shell is dropped there to keep him alive in this situation. Mark X Wings with the counter there. The ultimate will pick up Half Hero. Oh, this fight never ends. I'm sorry, Red. You're not going to have a lot of words here. But the engagement ends with the root.
And again, it's the overextension, the dive, the staying too long. You know, do you re-engage? Do you not re-engage? And that's what happened there. Half Hero dove in, thought he saw the kill. And even then, the question is, what did it give you? What are you looking for? And that's really, really tough for a Tsukiyomi to go, oh, I can dive in with my ult, not a problem. And then all of a sudden gets collapsed on. So really tough for him there. Now, Margiela kind of brought this up in chat a little bit, but the diamond arrow or the gilded arrow started up by the Chernobog here on Specify. It's kind of fallen out of favor because if you're really going an attack speed build, your attack speed is better with
As
the
we
cowl.
do see a huge engagement, though, and Stages will pick up his first death of the game by Half Hero. I apologize to cut you off, but this is a huge engagement and a huge advantage here for the Archon Dragons that they're trying to take. But Perspective Duck does ultimate in. He is able to evade the taunts there, but he does take a lot of damage. Mark X Wings coming into the back of this fight as well. A lot of low health bars and not a ton of results there. The only man who follows the Stages. Oh boy. What? This has been wall-to-wall insanity. I apologize, Red.
Yeah, I get that. I'm trying to look around at, you know, I'm trying to understand what these players are kind of going through and where their thought process is coming through. So you got Gilded Arrow, which, okay, if you're going crit, that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you would probably go Leather Cowl or you would go Death's Toll. Leather Cowl gives you more of the attack speed if you want to go with the attack speed build, which would make sense with the Chernobog because he has the stim. That being said, he didn't do that. The other thing that I'm kind of scratching my head is, so Nox went Stone of Fall.
Ooh, an invade on the blue buff turns into a kill onto Mark X Wings, possibly one onto Kexen. No, he should be able to get out.
Yeah.
As we do see an engagement here on the Gold Fury by the Phantom, but a huge damage coming out from that Nox ult. That's damage over time. You have to be very careful when you deal with that kind of stuff. And so, looks like the Phantoms will have to back off. So what was the other build you wanted to highlight that you're scratching your head at, Red?
The Stone of Fall on the Nox. I understand she's got a hard CC. Or sorry, Stone of Binding. Sorry, Stone of Binding, not Stone of Fall. Stone of Binding. Um, but if you're playing it as a damage mage, as Kexen's gonna fall again in the solo lane, if you're playing it as a damage mage, maybe there's more efficient items there rather than Stone of Binding. But I can kind of understand why he's going with that, with the passive on there, because it does reduce magical and physical protections, so it's an automatic 10 item very very quickly into it, and it also gives the boost to the rest of your team because it is magical and physical protections. However, I'm not sure how effective that's going to be at late game when it's only 10 physical protections that it's being shredded.
And Ole does have to watch out as I'm a Gamer is here. He's not going to opt to drop that ultimate there as Tantalus lurks behind there. So we do see both sides getting out scot-free. But I do have to note that while this game has been an advantage so far for Pittsburgh Phantoms, the Archon Dragons have come back, at least in XP, to really try and pick it up as this Gold Fury is once again drawn, but they do have to be careful here as Half Hero has come onto the back. The ultimate is dropped. Pittsburgh Phantoms do manage to pick up the Gold Fury here as Half Hero menaces the back line of the Phantoms. That he does have to be careful though, as 3 other members have now joined him. Kexen will be the first one to fall here, and Half Hero will be the response as Mark X Wings comes in to pick off somebody else, and SM Specify gets hit with the Duck Man himself and passes away in this matchup. It's currently a 2-for-1 in favor of the Phantoms. They do have to watch out. Boomhev is full health, while many of them are half. He does get stunned here and goes up into his ultimate just before he would have passed away. I'm a Gamer getting hit and killed there by Olea, and Boomhev picking up a kill of himself before he passes away in this matchup. And all in all, that ends up being, I believe, a 3-for-2, something like that.
3-for-3.
3-for-3. It's kind of hard to track as Stages lurks here trying to pick up anything.
Yeah, Kexen fell early, and so it ends up being a 3-for-3 on the extended fight. But even then, you're trying to push for that advantage, because if you get a wipe, you instantaneously can go for the tier 1 tower. But we're now 16 minutes in. That, and we'll see if Stages decides to go for it. Doesn't look like he's going to, though. But you see what's in the Fire Giant pit. That's not a Fire Giant. That's a greater Scorpion.
That is certainly not a Fire Giant, sir. That is a massive Scorpion.
And so we're 16 and a half minutes into this game, and neither team wants to be the one that says, okay, I'm going to pop the Scorpion, because, you know, if I give up the advantage...
And Specify does get dove into here. By the way, he's not able to actually use his dash there to get out of the Odin ult. That's not possible, as he opts to ult to the other side of the map where Kexen is located at. And does get hit. He's actually able to hide in Kexen's wall there, which I didn't know that interaction happened, as another person ults in on him, and Kexen went from a 1v1 to a 1v3 with Half Hero reporting in. So, a very unfortunate thing there that happened, because if that ultimate wall wasn't there, Specify probably just dies. So, kind of just unfortunate in interaction, and God abilities there as Tantalus falls to the tower. Tower OP, dear sirs. But there is the counter engagement here, trying to pick up anybody there as Tsukiyomi bounces around. He will fall 2 stages with that damage, and Boomhev falling to Mark X Wings. But you do have to watch out. That ultimate is placed there. Will it be enough to kill anybody? I don't think anyone actually was hit. It was pretty close. But Nox ult not on point, and so Stages will stay alive, and they will finally pick up that aforementioned Scorpion. And so we will finally see the Fire Giant and Pyromancer hit the map within 20 seconds.
And tier 1 and tier 2 now down on the solo lane side in favor of the Archon Dragons, but the response is there, and Pittsburgh Phantoms will pick up the tier 1 in both mid and solo. So now 3 towers left on the board for the Archon Dragons, 4 for the likes of the Pittsburgh Phantoms. Now, 2 of those are tier 1s, and they're just barely hanging on by a thread, but it's still enough to be able to have at least a little security pushing forward into the jungles and having somewhere to build a base to go into those objectives. Now, we're going to have a little bit more of a, is it going to be safe? Is it not going to be safe? Who do I need to look out for? So we'll see how this is going to play out right now, as both of these teams are really looking for an advantage somewhere.
In the graphs right now, you can see that there is an advantage here, and that does come in the form of the towers, as you were talking about. While one just fell and this one is still there, really the advantage when it comes to having those tier 1s is having a gold or XP advantage, as long as you're not entirely losing the match. So that's sort of what you see here, as warding and counter warding happen around. We see a grouping of 3 here by the Pittsburgh Phantoms, trying to catch somebody out. Boomhev will use that bull form, but will miss the stun cancel combo there, or rather the knock-up combo, as posturing will ensue. Apollo is simply trying to do Apollo things, which is, I'm going to stay in my lane. If you guys need me, just call me and I'll run over. Where you at? Are you up? Kind of situation. Come over, my parents aren't home, as Boomhev takes a lot of damage there and will go up into his ultimate inside of the clouds and will jump away from the enemy team. And so we do see pings coming out. Half here, someone being targeted as I'm a Gamer drops it as well. And Tsukiyomi is not going to be able to get out of the cage there. Stages being the target of most of the damage there. Lots of low health bars for both teams here, as Kexen will be the first one to fall, and an often one to fall, as Half Hero is the next one on the list of kills here, as both teams sort of try and get to a status quo, as Tantalus does blink in aggressively, misses the damage there, and hits the taunt, but Stages and the damage there for just being stationary and not really moving will be his downfall, as Athena goes down here as well. So it's currently a 2-for-1 in favor of the Phantoms, and do be aware, there's not only Pyro, there's not only Fire Giant, but there is also the boy over here, the Oni Fury. So you do have to be careful. Duck managing to pick up the vision on it, but we will see that Olea and Specify look at it, and have seen that the vision will be on it, and they opt to back away.
A mighty storm!
As Kexen comes in and tries to pick up SM Specify here, but misses a lot of his abilities. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, and you're seeing the teams right now, again, that little advantage, but still not safe enough, not secure enough to input the abilities and the damage onto a large objective. However, that is going to change, as now the Pittsburgh Phantoms will start up the Oni Fury, and they will drop this without a problem, as the Spirit of the Nine Winds comes through, and that will finish it off. Great objective secure with that ultimate ability.
Mm-hmm.
And again, now that the objectives are starting to become more of a thing, here comes the Pittsburgh Phantoms once again with the advantage in gold, and a little bit more of the momentum as we get into this later game.
Yeah, so Pyro will be picked up pretty easily. Someone asked for the player damage numbers here in chat, and, they're somewhat as you would expect. Nox there, if you noted, she used her ultimate, but the thing about Nox ultimate and what makes it not the best is, while it can be a good secure, whoever it hits first, it stops on. So if you just barrel stuff her, she can't do garbage. And that's exactly what one of the members, I kind of forget, I think it was Odin, just barrel stuffed her, and so she couldn't do anything. So it's just a free secure. And that's one of the differences here, is that Kugelkan ult goes through everything. Nox ult only hits the first person. So you do have to be wary about that. You want to make sure you hit a group, not one guy, which is what will happen in that kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, Nox is very low on that list, and you see Stage is very high on this list, which at the mid lane is not something you want to see at that matchup, for sure. As a bit of posturing happens.
Yeah, and now, again, looking for the pick. Half Hero in a bit of trouble as he's going to utilize the ult once again.
As we will
and he's
see.
going to try and get out, but now comes the Athena ult as well, as here we go into the team fight.
Yeah, it's a massive team fight as Kexen and Boomhev and Half Hero 2-for-1 trade so far as Stages picks up yet another in a double kill too. And this has become a massive engagement for the Pittsburgh Phantoms, having Kexen once again sacrifice his life for possibly a deicide here as Tantalus is chased down by everyone. You know, you're looking at some of these low health bars, but it doesn't really matter all that much. If they get the kill, they get the kill. But ultimately, if they can get this big old fire giant, then that's what they want. They get it for free on every single member. If Kexen gets up in time, probably not. So probably only on 4 people. It looks like they won't manage to pick up Tantalus either, as Mark Menace is in the area. Oh, the dash damage in, and the eventual Tao Lao assault is able. They're actually going to stop doing damage so that way Kexen is able to get the buff here as they have enough health bar. So a very, very big play there, just waiting for Kexen to get up, as every single member of the Pittsburgh Phantoms will have that fire giant buff.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering what they were planning there. Especially with the chase onto Tantalus. It's like, okay, he's dragging you away from Fire Giant. He's dragging you away from objectives. You know, there's still the towers up. It's like, you know, and of course, sitting in this chair is a lot easier than sitting in those chairs right now with the player's perspective going, oh, I need this kill. We got to get this kill. We can get the wipe. We'll get the deicide, and it'll be easier for us. But it took an extra, like, 30 seconds to kill Tantalus. And you're kind of sitting there going, guys, they're going to be back up. They're going to be back up. Well, you know, what's the plan here? And we kind of see that where if they would have grabbed Fire Giant earlier, or even if they didn't grab Fire Giant, but just dropped Tantalus and gone for a tier 2 tower, maybe they have one down. But as of right now they've got to group up. They've used a good amount of this buff already, just in setup, but now comes the pressure, and here comes the tier 2 towers falling in quick succession.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evaluations of the play. I think the play was very good there, as we do see the ultimate come out by Odin, and SM Specify will hide in that wall, but it will not be for long, as he is the first one picked up in this engagement. Half Hero getting very low, gonna opt to try and use his ultimate to stay alive, do a little bit of damage, but he will be picked up, excuse me, as well. Stages on a rampage, as we do see some low health bars, but not a lot, as Boomhev is kind of trapped behind the door and in between the Phantoms, as he is going to get hit with a couple crits here, with Duck actually going kind of a last split build with 2 arrows and then Rage and Wind Demon, which is a very interesting build, as Boomhev is finally picked up there. And they're going to opt to grab this tier 2, possibly use this Fire Giant to get a tier 2 sweep, as well as this one Phoenix here. Or maybe just push it down mid and end. There's 3 people dead. One person who's going to be up very soon, of course, but Stages is going to be doing a ton of damage here as Tantalus tries to come in to hit that taunt and delay the Phoenix, as Stages does eventually pick up the kill. That's going to be another Phoenix dead here, and let's see what the call is. I'm a Gamer coming in aggressively. It looks like the call is going to be once again to end here, as Olea is going to get picked up by I'm a Gamer as the Kukulkan ult misses. Half Hero trying to dive and pick up Duck, but he's not going to be able to, and this Titan is going to be drawn by the Pittsburgh Phantoms. A possible end here as SM Specify tries to do anything, but he falls as Unstoppable and Deicide comes out, and that is a 2-game sweep of the Archon Dragons by the Pittsburgh Phantoms. Oh.
Yeah, and Wow, what a game. What a set.
Oh man. In chat, yeah, the Rage Wind Demon is fine. I didn't say it was bad. I was just pointing it out. Um, that it is more or less something we saw last split. Um, but certainly not terrible. Certainly not terrible, and that's of course reflected in the game results. So, oh boy. As we look at the devil in the details, once again you see Stages as top damage there, and right now tonight he's proved he's top dog. This is the matchup that we've been talking about. These are the players that we've been talking about, and I think the end result is that Stages is definitely top mid laner.
Yeah, I gotta concur with that. I mean, you never know, especially with tier lists. And I know when I was putting together my tier list on stream, I kept saying, hey guys, this is preseason. This is early. We still don't know how this stuff is gonna pan out. And when it comes down to it, when they go toe to toe with each other, when they finally square off against each other, you start looking at it and going, wow, okay, individually playing, this is where they go. As a team, this is how it goes. And sometimes they're radically different. But in this one, Stages, kudos, man. There is not a thing I could say where I can look at his game and go, you know, I have no clue why he's doing this, and it really doesn't work. I I'm not a mid laner, but man, if that is what a mid laner is supposed to be, I'm gonna start watching more of his games.
Yeah, if you're a mid laner on a minors team, you need to be following Stages' Twitch account. Like, there is gameplay there that you will see that is unheard of. And I'm sure, I don't know if Alea streams, but that would also be someone to watch for sure. But that that's a what a performance moment. Like,
Yeah,
you know, I see I'm a gamer already in chat. Stages got carried. I don't know, man. I think that's a little bit of a misnomer, but it's not to say that other members of that team weren't a factor. Those Odin cages were very, very big. Guan Yu had some fantastic ults, I have to say. And I think Kexen just ended up being the punching bag of the team that says, hey, I'm going to die a lot, and that's that. And that's kind of reflected in the build. I mean, you see Warlocks, you see Ethereal, Polynomicon. If Kexen was planning on doing it, he's probably just like, hey, damage. So that's why he died a lot. But, you know, it still ended up, in the end, not being that terrible because he got the attention of everyone. He died, and then the rest of his team was able to follow up.
yeah, and that's really the big story I think tonight, which is even despite the individual players, it was the team that came together and it was the team that pushed forward. And the team of the Pittsburgh Phantoms, I mean, kudos. Kudos to them. They got the double, you know, they got the 2-0 win. And we'll see how this maneuvers towards the end game. As Pittsburgh Phantoms pick up the victory, they are now, I believe they are 2-0 question mark. Let me see real quick.
Did they win their first match?
They
Yes.
did. Yes, they beat the Obsidian Mages. So yes, they are 2-0. So they are tied for first place right now. Um, so a very good spot to be after 2 weeks. Um, they end up going in week 3 against Zeus Juice. Archon Dragons looking to try and turn their fortunes around against Booney Gang next week. But we'll see as is this a start for both of these teams and it will be a wildly divergent path, or maybe this is just the hiccup for the Archon Dragons and next week they'll get back on track here. I know there was a little bit of chaos early on in the season. Now that they're finally playing games, things are starting to roll in. It could be that we're looking at, you know, very highly rated playoff teams between these two right now. Because of them, I mean, both the games were very hotly contested. It could have gone one way or the other on both of them. So, hey, kudos to both of these teams, first of all. And second of all, um, yeah, my MVP for the night has got to go to Stages. As much as I'm a gamer, had great setup. Duck held his own in the duo lane. Kexen was just being Kexen. I got to give it to Stages with his play. Without him, especially in the first game, with some of those timely Thoth ultimates, the absolute bullet snipe going into the tier 2 mid lane towards the end of the game, I don't think they win that one. So kudos on that one, and GG's all around.
Yeah, yeah. Stages played a very good game. That's not to say the rest of that team didn't play a fantastic match. I honestly think, I am biased for sure, for this team as they are my majors team, but I really think they actually played a very good game. Um, Duck he didn't get diffed, he just played the game. And then Kexen became the punching bag both games, and that has its disadvantages and advantages. He had basically half hero's time 100%, so Mark was able to do whatever he wanted to in jungle, and that allowed him, especially in this game, I would say, to pick up advantages where they were otherwise lost by the Archon Dragons. And not I can't say everything about I'm a Gamer, but he certainly is something else, especially on that Odin for sure. So that team, I'm not going to give out MVPs on sets in which that contain a team that I'm tied with, but I think all those players fantastically. They played a great game and a set, and I think Archon Dragons didn't play terribly. They just lost a very, very methodical chess match, which is not something to be ashamed of in one bit. Honestly, and Archon Dragons gets very good from this week going forward. As we discussed in pregame, NMR most likely will become a member of Archon Dragons, replacing the currently absent captain or previous captain Kaneki. So they will have a very capable player to build around moving forward after these first 2 weeks. So that's going to be extremely exciting to watch. So with that said, any parting thoughts, Red, before we end the broadcast for tonight?
GG's to both teams. Well played on both sides. Specifically to the Archon Dragons. Pick your heads up, because guys, you got 6 more games to go before playoffs, and you've got a lot of good things that you can work on and build upon. And especially with now a little bit more stability to the roster, we'll see if things start going in a positive direction. I know the first one here was a little bit of a bump in the road, but I think you guys will be able to go you'll be able to build off of this rather than just let it be the first shovel into building into digging your own grave. On the other side, though, to the Pittsburgh Phantoms, well done, good game. Again, there's some things that need to be worked on, but overall, well played as a team, and that is something that I am really looking forward to um, going into this season. Again, 5 more games for you guys as well, and we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. Are these teams going to come together? Are things going to, split apart? But overall, GG's all around, and I'll see you all in week 3.
Yes, indeed. And with that, as we crest, what time is it? 20 after midnight. We will end it here. I've been your camera and chair 1, Jeremy, joined here by Red on the chair 2. It's been a fantastic time, a fantastic set. Good night.